Welcome back. Kelly Stewart, Jason Andera here, and we are going to talk about some South Dakotans who are going to play football next year in college. It's a big day, National Signing Day, and usually not a ton of drama near this day, but there was a little bit. So let's talk about last night's activity with Jaden and Jackson Yankee from Madison.
I think it kind of counts as drama. The Yankees took some time to make their decision on what they wanted to do with their future. They actually got football offers from schools, including SDSU, as early as last summer, but they wanted to wait and see what their basketball options might entail. Well, last night they decided to continue their football career at SDSU. They will be preferred walk-ons. They'll start their career with the promise of obtaining scholarships down the road. These are two very talented high school players who really dominated all over the field, offensively, defensively, on special teams. Really, really solid players that a lot of different college coaches were really looking forward to getting, but SDSU gets those two players. That's the biggest drama that we've had in a long time near signing day here in South Dakota.
So SDSU gets the Yankees, but speaking of big-name high schoolers, let's talk about who is heading to Augustana. We've got the 11AA Varsity Sports Player of the Year in Peyton Zabel, the all-time leading receiver in Washington football history, Logan Utecht, and a 2,000-yard rusher in Braden Peterson, all headed to play Saturdays at KO.
That's a good little pickup for Augustana. They get a nice influx of area players. That's something they didn't get last year, but I really think they won the region. Let's take a look at their list here. The Vikings have a lot of leaders from South Dakota on their roster right now, including Kirby Hora, Caden Quintanilla, and I think they get another boost from this year's crops. These are some really high-impact players with some really good high school teams. A lot of champions are on this list. Let's start with 11AA state champion quarterback Peyton Zabel. He had some big decisions to make, not only on which school he was going to choose, but which sport he wanted to play. Augustana gave Zabel a chance to play both football and baseball, made his decision a lot easier.
That's just where I felt at home at Augustana, and I love the coaches and staff, and football and baseball were my first true loves, so they didn't make me pick, so that was really good of them on their part. And the two coaching staffs really work well together, and I appreciated that a lot. They said, as long as you want to try, we're good on our end, so let's go for it, and that's really what's been.
So in my opinion, Kelly, Augustana gets the best pure quarterback in the state of South Dakota. He's heading to Sioux Falls. He gets to play baseball too. He's a terrific baseball player, by the way, a great pitcher. He really evolved last season. He could be a difference maker not only in football but at baseball as well. And there's some defending champs who are going to be his teammates from Washington. This is a nice group that's going to join Zabel at Augie. Logan Utecht will be able to catch some of those Zabel passes in the future. Logan's 24 career touchdown catches puts him first all-time on the Washington list, ahead of players like Nate Gary and Sam Holston. He's also the leader in career receptions and receiving yards. He's known for making some of these athletic, crazy plays and catches that you see on the screen right now. He's going to bring that versatility to Augustana, and his high school teammates Trevor Burkhart and Jack Wilson also decided to make their home at Augustana next year.
It wasn't so much location, it was a lot of the coaches. I really like the facilities. It's a nice school. It wasn't so much getting out of here. At first I wanted to get out of here really far away, but then, it's not going to be a big deal staying home.
I got to visit Augustana, and the culture I saw there, and the way the coaches presented themselves and how I saw the university as a whole, I could tell it was the right fit.
Process is over, and I got to go to the college I wanted to, and it's going to be fun. I went on my visit, and the next day when they were touring us around, I just kind of I want to go here. I want this to be my home.
A lot of rings on those fingers.
Yes, yeah.
And as if it wasn't good enough to get those guys, they also get a 2,000-plus yard rusher in Braden Peterson from Brandon Valley as well. Braden had 2 games last year where he went over 300 yards rushing in his senior year. He finished with the 4th highest total for rushing TDs in a single season with 30 last year and ran for 22.41. That's how many yards he had on the ground. That's second best in single season in history. So to get a stud track athlete like that who can run the ball for them, Logan Utecht catching it, Zabel throwing it, they've got a lot of wins on that roster.
Yeah, a lot of great young Vikings coming in, so great for Augie. But the University of Sioux Falls, just a few blocks away, also got some stars.
Yeah, the Cougars will get some great players from around the area that you've heard of. Sioux Falls Roosevelt quarterback Carter Lohr. He's been an outstanding wrestler and an all-around great athlete for the Riders. He's getting a scholarship to play at USF, as well as Nate Varnes, who suffered a season-ending injury last year, and he's considered one of the top pass catchers in the state.
All summer I had a bunch of coaches texting me and calling me and talking to me. I went on a few visits and a few camps to USD, SDSU, up in Mankato. I made a visit to Mankato and University of Moorhead, and then finally I went on a visit to USF, and then they invited me out to a fall camp practice, and I was there with Carter Lohr. As we were watching practice, I just realized I had a feeling that it felt like home and it felt like the right place to go.
I visited most of the NSIC conference schools that offered me, and going to USF, it was just a different culture, and I loved the coaching staff. I loved the small feel of the university, and it was a pretty easy decision to commit to the Cougars. I didn't win a football championship in high school, came really close, but now that goal's just set for college now.
All right, Jandy, well, staying in South Dakota and staying in the Northern Sun, how about Northern State? Because they seem to get a lot of local players usually.
Yeah, they always get a ton of local players. This year, no different. A lot of great high school players who get to keep playing on Saturdays in Aberdeen. NSU netted 33 players today, and they get 2 big-time high school running backs. One of those, Jack Anderson from Harrisburg. He is the all-time leader in Harrisburg history in career yards, also set the record for single season rushing yards. He runs violently, a very upright runner. It'll be interesting to see if this guy can continue that style of running in the NSIC. I don't know if he can, but I'll tell you what, he is a hard worker. He works really hard in the weight room, and I wish the best for Jack Anderson. Let's take a look at the rest of their gets today. Couple of interesting names on this list: Preston Barr and Mason Flackus. They stay home in Aberdeen. And how about Tayon Hawkins? He made some noise at the Dome last year. If you remember watching the 9A title game, he was one of the best players on the field. More on this list for NSU. Guys like Jacob Howard, Sam Lose, Max Tibbetts. I mean, these are big boys that are suited very well for the college game. I think they're going to translate very well and have a chance to be really special players in the NSIC for Northern State.
Well, we've covered a lot of players today, but what other area high school players should we be looking for on Saturdays, Jandy?
You know what? Dakota State and Dakota Wesleyan have become very good NAIA programs lately. Great destinations for in-state players. Damian Lucas of Sioux Valley, Brendan Sokolowski of Irene Wakanda, they'll get to go to DWU among many others. And how about the Grosses? Bodie and Cade Gross out of Coleman Egan, state champions. They're headed to Dakota State, and a big get for Dakota State is this guy. Their quarterback on Dakota State right now, Jacob Giles, his brother Josh Giles, also from Madison, will stay home in Madison. A big gem for them as their future at quarterback keeps looking brighter and brighter. Chadron State picks up a few more players from St. Thomas More, including Cody Whipple. This is a big man who's got some blocking going on for St. Thomas More. That pipeline from St. Thomas More, especially to Chadron State, but all around the area, has been really strong lately. They've had 34 players in the last 5 years sign NLIs. That's huge, and Wayne Sullivan has a lot to be proud of putting that program together.
All right, well, a lot of exciting news for a bunch of local athletes. Thank you so much, Jandy.
You bet.
All right, coming up after the break, Augie football head coach Jerry Olszewski joins our Elena Lanson in studio to talk about his newest additions to Viking football. Stick around.